Hello and welcome to the W Show ahead of the second weekend of Pride Round, Round 10. Laura Spurway with you. Great to be here on the couch alongside Sarah Black, who's here every week. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Laura. Welcome to the W Show. Great to have you on board.
Oh, thank you. I've been waiting for this. And our special guest for today, Tigers Vice-Captain Gabby Seymour. Thanks for coming, Gab.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, excited to be here.
It's awesome to have you, and we've got a lot to talk to you about, so we'll get stuck into that shortly. But Sarah, you have some breaking news on next year's fixture.
Yes, a W Show exclusive. The fixture dates have been locked in for the 2026 season. So it has been confirmed that it will be a 12-round season, home and away season once again. Unfortunately, those attendance triggers have not yet been hit. Clubs were communicated this earlier this week with there's a little proviso that should those, on the off chance those attendance figures hit, that we would jump to 14. But mid-August start once again, so we're going to have the crossover period with the boys for rounds 1, 2 and 3, and then final series in November with the grand final, of course, locked in the last weekend of November. So same as this year that we've just been experiencing, but also I think, Gab, a bit of a chance to try something new and maybe put in some double headers in that crossover period with the boys.
Yeah, I think that's something that, globally across the competition, the W really wants to see. I think when we have tried some double headers in the past, number one, we probably haven't done it properly by way of, like, if we know in advance round 20 it's going to be Richmond Collingwood, the W is going to play before the men's, and it's not something that gets announced, in the week before, or it's a practice match that gets scheduled beforehand last minute. I feel like that's a really good opportunity to see both of your clubs in action, but also hopefully grow the W game as well.
See, I'd be interested to see if they go for more Thursday night games, because I quite liked the season opener having clear air on that Thursday night slot this season. The Thursday night games, they've dropped off towards the last part of this season, which we assume is to do with TV broadcast and ratings. But what do you both think about Thursday night fixtures?
It did feel like we've been conditioned with the men's this year into having Thursday night footy every single week. So, I did notice that the lack of Thursday nights, and Saturday is such a jam-packed day of W content with 5 or sometimes 6 games. So obviously there's September and the boys' finals in and around that. But I would like to see a few more Thursday nights trialled.
Gab?
Yeah, big fan of Thursday night footy. I reckon that's when I watched the most footy this year. Like, a lot of people have busy weekends. I found that was the day that I'd go home, turn the footy on. So, definitely supportive of that.
Now, let's talk about you, because you're obviously not playing at the moment, which we don't like to see. You got the partial ACL strain. So partial good, ACL shivers whenever you hear ACL. How are you going?
Yeah, honestly, not too bad. I have got a big knee brace on under these pants, and I'll be in that for the next couple of weeks. But like you say, I actually feel like I've gotten off pretty well. When you think ACL, you think 12-month injuries and that sort of thing. On the spectrum, I feel like I'm right down the very minor end of the injury scale. So, I'm looking probably more at a 3-month rehab. And
wow.
I've got a lot to be grateful for in terms of all my strength and conditioning. That's meant a lot of my fibres did hold on. So, that, and it also means I can get back in the gym earlier, and I'm a real gym nut. So, that part of it's been a blessing, yep.
One of your teammates who will be alongside you in the gym is unfortunately Montana McKinnon, who did her second ACL so soon after coming back from her first. Firstly, how is Monty, and will you two be working closely together, along with Judson Clark, who one of the men's players is undergoing ACL rehab as well?
Yeah, it's super disappointing for Monty. She's gone through it over the last 12 months and she ticked off every box that she could, but she's someone who's got an absolutely phenomenal attitude. Like, seeing her over the last 12 months, I genuinely don't think she had a bad day. People talk about the ups and downs of rehab, and this girl comes in every day. She's so consistent. She's always just focused on whatever milestone she's got to tick off next. So she's going okay. To be honest, I think I'll probably be learning from her along the way. We have talked about teeing up some swimming sessions together. So I think if you see us both with really strong arms next season, you'll know the work paid off.
Getting warmer now, so it's a good time for that. Now, imagine you'll both be at Vic Park this weekend, because you've got the Pies and they do Pride Round really well. They're putting on free entry for everyone, so make sure you take advantage of that. I'm looking forward to this matchup. You've obviously just got the one win for the season, but this to me feels like it should be a good contest between your two sides.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good game on the weekend. We love playing Collingwood. We love Vic Park, and especially in Pride Round, I think Collingwood do an awesome job at that venue of creating a real vibe around the place. Hopefully the sun will be out as well to, get to enjoy that. But no, I think it'll be a great game. I think Collingwood we've seen have had some highs of highs and, some games that haven't been so flash as well. But yeah, I think it'll be a pretty evenly matched battle. So yeah, looking forward to watching that one.
And what was different about that Adelaide win, Gab? It was long awaited. It's been a really tough year. What was it that got you guys over the line?
I think probably the biggest difference to me was in our offence. When you've been defending for long periods of time, sometimes it can be really easy to either want to get the ball away from you as fast as possible and maybe make a bad decision. But something that we talk about as well is that it's not up to the ball carrier to make something happen. It's actually up to the people without the ball. And it's about how you explode, pop into space. They can't defend everything. So that way it then makes a really easy decision for, the person who's got the ball in their hands. And I think that was the biggest difference in what we saw in the Adelaide game was we actually used different modes of attack and were able to get at them from a few different angles and options.
Two phrases you use there, explode, pop into space. They bring to mind your draftee, Sierra Greaves, who was one of my favourites in the draft pool, just quietly. I was pretty happy she ended up at Tigerland. What has Sierra brought to this group? Because she's such a live wire.
She is. She's pretty classy, isn't she? Yeah, she's just got this, she makes incredible decisions with the ball in hand. She's got really good ability to find time and space. I think she's still working on building up her tank and that sort of thing. And as she does that over the next couple of years, she's going to be a really important part of our midfield moving forward. So yeah, very excited about her future.
Love watching her play. Now, Gab, your passion for the AFLW extends to you being a players delegate in the Players Association. So what does that involve?
Yeah, so a player delegate's pretty much a representative of the club that works with the AFL Players Association. So essentially we act as the voice between the playing group and the association. So if there's issues within the group, it's our job to sort of stem that over to the Players Association, but that goes the other way as well in terms of when the Players Association has got CBAs and other issues that pop up within the league, we are sort of like the voice who helps to convey that to the playing group. I sit on a couple of committees within the AFLPA as well, but yeah, I guess I feel really strongly about helping to progress the women's game in particular, so that's the main reason I've been involved with them.
Now, there's been a bit of chat in the last couple of weeks. We've had Pride Round and Indigenous Round. Guernsey clashes have been catching the eye, and there's been a few fans out there saying, well, why is everyone wearing black shorts and dark coloured shorts? Your work on the PA has helped shape the uniform discussion around the removal of white shorts. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. It's one I feel like I didn't really do that much about, to be honest, but sometimes maybe your voice just in the conversation makes a difference. But for me, that started a couple of years ago. I met a lady named Claire Hanlon, who's a researcher at Victoria University, and she's done a lot of work around uniform and how uniform affects girls' experiences in sport. And she's got some really interesting data around, I think they surveyed about 3,000 people and found that 75% of girls felt that uniform did make a difference to their experience in sport, but also this really strong preference came through that when girls have got their periods, they don't want to wear white shorts. And this is something I saw amongst my teammates as well. Personally, it's not something that I feel really makes a huge difference to me, but we'd be in the change rooms before a game and people are saying like, oh, I don't want to put the white shorts on, and that's just probably not where their energy needs to be honest. I probably think about it more broadly too in terms of junior girls, like that 12 to 18 kind of age group. Like that's an age that you're self-conscious enough. We want to be keeping these girls in sport and giving them every opportunity to play. And to me, that just felt like a really easy win to say, well, actually, this doesn't affect us. Like we can wear dark coloured shorts, wear different coloured shorts. And if that's going to be something that makes a whole group of people feel more comfortable and better able to engage in their sport, then like, why wouldn't we do that? So yeah, I feel like I just added my voice into, I guess, some of the discussion around that in some different forums. And yeah, we saw the change actually pretty quickly. So yeah, I think everyone could get on board that that was a nice, easy win for us, which is cool.
Yeah, I think it shows that you're really onto something, because girls do really appreciate that flexibility with uniforms. I've got a young one myself and she's already aware of that. So I think it's something that's really important. And something else that you're involved in is CBA discussions. Now, these can be quite meaty. They can take quite a long time. But where are you at with all of that?
Yeah, so our current CBA extends through till 2027, and I think a lot of the discussion about it at the moment has been that the discussion is coming. So we've got our player and leader delegates conference at the end of the year, so I imagine we'll start to flesh out some of the conversations there. In terms of what's coming, I think it's fairly safe to assume that, you know, W wants to get to a stage where we've got 17 games across the competition. I think that's been a pretty key theme sort of throughout all of our negotiations. And yeah, obviously we've got some metrics and that sort of thing that were put in place in the last CBA. To me, I feel like a lot of the discussion around that was how can we collectively as an industry work towards that? So, you know, players, the AFL, the AFLPA, media, clubland, how can we all work together to achieve that? So yeah, if the metrics aren't where we want them to be just yet, I really am hopeful to see some conversation around, well, how are we going to get them there? And I guess how can we do that together as well?
Well, hopefully we get some good metrics for this weekend of footy, because it is absolutely stacked. So let's take a look at the fixture for round 10. It starts with a doubleheader on Friday night, Port and the Hawks in Adelaide, and then we head over to the west for the Eagles and the Cats. On Saturday, you can see there, some ladder shaping games, Melbourne and the Swans, North and the Crows, the Giants and Freo, and then Carlton and St Kilda at Icon Park, one that I'll be watching very closely on Sunday. We've got the Bombers and the Lions at Windy Hill, Collingwood and Richmond, your lot Gab at Vic Park, as we've mentioned, and the Suns and the Bulldogs head up to sunny Mackay to play up there. So looking at those games on Saturday, let's start off with North and Adelaide, because for me, this will be a real gauge of where the Crows at. And we've been speaking about how the North are actually gettable, and this could be one of the teams to do it, but they've got to be strategic, Sarah.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup. I think it's safe to say I put my name down for this one straight away when it came out. And the big question will be just where are Adelaide in the pecking order? Like, how close can they get to North Melbourne? Can indeed they topple them off? And the one player that I want to keep my eye on is Danielle Ponta. Now, she's kicked 13 goals against North Melbourne over the years, which is the equal most of any one player against one club. So she is, you know, when it comes to a head-to-head matchup, Ponta can star against the Roos. She's been slightly down on impact this year. Her goal average is just down a little bit, but you know, she has the ability to just turn a game in an instant. And because she's such a difficult matchup and North Melbourne love that system defence, I think she can just slide in and find some gaps in there and create some chaos. So she'll be one that the Roos will have to watch really carefully.
And speaking of system defence, you've got to look at Emma Carney. We've been talking about her all season, the damaging run off halfback, what happens when you let Emma Carney control games. Who do you think needs to go to Emma Carney?
We put our coach's hat on for this one. There was a few heated discussions. Chelsea Rounder would have been top of the list, but unfortunately she's going to miss a 5th straight week with concussion. So our wishes go out to Chelsea there. But we've put up 3 names, Brooke Tonnan, Maddie Newman and Tia Charlton. Now, Gab, my money's on Tia because she is so creative. She's really hard running and she can make Carnes just be a little bit more worried about what's happening the other way.
Yeah, I had my money on Tia as well, to be honest. I'll be interested what they do there in terms of, I think Adelaide's also a team that really backs their own system in as well. And I think Caitlin Gould's due to come back into the lineup from a forward perspective too. So, you know, I think for Carney to get her hands on the ball, I guess they've got to be turning it over. Yeah. So I think the Adelaide forward line's going to keep their hands full with that.
And that game is 2-for-1 tickets, so make sure you head along for that matchup as well. If we look at the other 3 p.m. game, it is GWS taking on Freo, and we have uncovered Fremantle's biggest fan this week.
Now, I overheard you say you're a proud Dockers fan. Yes. Are you excited to go and rep the purple?
I'm going to, totally, because the Dockers are my team, and my producer is married to somebody on that team, and that's why the Dockers are my team.
Shout out to Claire Heffernan, who is the member of that team.
Exactly.
Well, look at Gemma Bastiani there, absolutely loving life alongside Rosie O'Donnell, who was here this week. She's got a comedy show in town, but also has really been ramping up the W for Pride Round, and she's gotten into it, hasn't she, Sarah?
She really has. So Rosie's producer in Australia is married to Claire Heffernan, the head of footy at Fremantle. So that's where that little crossover has come about. She's a huge supporter of women's sport too, Rosie O'Donnell. So she'll be there in attendance at that game, GWS and Fremantle up in Sydney. Loves women's footy, big supporter of the Pride Round initiative as well. So a little bit of Hollywood glitz and glam to the AFLW.
Oh, it deserves it, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Now, Sarah, I want to ask you about this because you've also got some news on the Women's Coaching Acceleration Program.
Yes, just quickly on this one here. So the Women's Coaching Acceleration Program is an instigation by the AFL to help boost the numbers of women in elite coaching. So this is the program that's seen Emma Carney and Chelsea Randall take on development coaching roles within the men's program. That program has actually been extended this year and expanded. So we've seen a couple of players take up the opportunity to not only get involved in coaching, but also recruiting. So Jess Delpos has a development coaching role with the Blues men's and women's program. Brooke Laughlin's taken on an assistant coaching role with Sydney's W program. And Bella Lewis, our own colleague in the West, Nathan Schmook's got a lovely feature on this coming later this week. She's working with the men's recruiting program at the Eagles. So, you know, she's looking to expand in that area, you know, towards the end of her career. She's got plenty of years left, but just dipping the toe in the water. So we love to see it.
It's so good to see the collaboration between the programs, isn't it? Well, let's head to another game on Saturday that I mentioned earlier as one to watch, and it is the Blues and the Saints. And this has big implications for the ladder and probably for finals if you're in the Saints camp. So let's have a look at the ladder now so we can nut out exactly what I'm talking about. And the key here is that they're in 6 and 7. But look at that percentage gap. I mean, sitting, less than 2%. So this one really is one of the most crucial games of the round, isn't it?
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. I had the Saints last week and they can cause a bit of damage if the ball gets headed their way. The Blues, of course, coming off that shock loss to the Swans. So this is shaping as a real eight-shaper, you might say.
Yep.
It's you know, an 8-point game, whatever cliche you want to throw at it.
Well, Nick Dal Santos spoke after the game, as the coaches do, and here's what he thinks his team needs to do to make finals and to improve.
Oh, I feel like our defence has been pretty solid throughout the course of the year. We've had a few lapses, but I think when you look at maybe just the raw stats, the opposition are having a lot of inside 50s and front half game on us, and we're probably not having the equal opportunities to go the other way. So we'll work around our contests, our ball use, and the ability to probably slow down the opposition's ball movement so it doesn't go all the way from one end of the ground to the other.
Well, I think he's nailed it on the head there, hasn't he?
Some pretty plain speaking there from Nick Dal Santo. I threw that question at him pretty late in the piece. And yeah, has laid out exactly what St Kilda need to do to improve. Gab, how do you see this one playing out? You've played the Saints and you had the Blues in a pracky match earlier this year as well.
Yeah, I feel like this one will really be like won or lost at the contest, to be honest. Like, Saints need to work on that in terms of to get their game up and going, but that's also probably been Carlton's biggest strength as well. And I think that's been like a real area for them this year that's sort of helped them to be successful. So yeah, I think I've got my money on the Blues at this stage, but yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see how it shapes.
All right, well, let's go to Melbourne and Sydney. This is another one that's interesting on the ladder. I mean, I think you would have had your money on Melbourne for this game, but now that they've got no Chloe Malloy for the Swans, she's out with back soreness, it probably tips even further in the D's favour.
Yeah, a huge loss for the Swans there. In their favour is the fact they played with Malloy for all of last year. What isn't in their favour is that it didn't work very well without her.
Yep.
So they're going to have to find a few avenues to goal. It's something we've spoken about with the Swans, how they've really struggled to find that second forward. You know, Beck Privatelli and Amelia Martin have been swapping in and out of that role, and otherwise it's been Malloy or bust. So, you know, the Ds, I think, will be licking their lips. They'll be keen to make an impact after that shock loss to Fremantle last week.
Let's talk about crowd numbers because metrics is coming up a lot at the moment, and we've spoken about this at length. Sydney does it so well. The crowds that we've seen at Henson Park continue to impress. Natalie Fagg, they're an executive commercial operator with the Swans, has been involved in presenting to other clubs to say, hey, this is how we're doing it. We're directly appealing to the fans to say, we need you to turn up so we can grow this competition. What do you think of this approach, Gab, in terms of getting fans to come to the games?
Yeah, I'm all for it, to be honest. I think when you talk to a lot of people in the public, they're generally quite supportive of AFLW. Yeah, but I don't feel like people realise the role that they can play by turning on their tellies, by turning up to games. And I think by making it really explicit, we give ourselves the best opportunity to achieve that. So I'm very pro.
I think we're all very pro, and the more games at Henson Park, the better, in my view. It's time now for the deep dive with Gemma Bastiani.
On the weekend, we saw the most metres gained ever in an AFLW game between Brisbane and Port Adelaide, over 9,000. And when we talk about ball movement, it's a bit of a buzz phrase that we use a lot of the time, but what does that actually mean? Well, it means that this year, teams are getting the ball from their defensive half into their attacking 50 more often than ever before. 17.4% of defensive half ball is going inside 50. It's up nearly 2% from last year. 2% doesn't sound like a lot, but I can promise you it really, really is. When you look at all these other numbers, we've got more inside 50s per team than we ever have had before. Higher scores, and it's because we're getting higher percentage opportunities at goal, which is being reflected in the marks inside 50 number. So all of that stuff where you go from back end to front half, it's increasing year on year. We've got some examples from the last couple of weeks, but these aren't the only examples, obviously. But that ability to take from a kick in inside 50 to generate opportunities to score is massive, and it's the kind of entertaining footy team that we love to watch. It's three key takeaways from this sort of footy. So the transition is happening more effectively. Teams are actually chaining possession more effectively. They're not losing the ball as part of that transition and it coming back over their heads as often. There's less of a territory game style, so teams aren't necessarily having to camp in their defensive half as often. We are still seeing that happen against some very good teams, i.e. North Melbourne, but teams aren't having to just be trapped in their back half as much as they have in the past. And it means that they are higher quality forward entries. We're getting more marks inside 50. We're getting the opportunity to score from those set shots more regularly. And it means that forwards are actually able to capitalise on the work that their teams are doing higher up the field. The kind of footy we all love to watch. So it'll be interesting to see if we can maintain this throughout the final series. We know things get a little bit tougher, a little bit tighter in finals, a lot more pressure, but it's players like a Courtney Hodder getting involved in this one. It's Neve McLaughlin from Gold Coast, those sorts of running players. And then other sides are kind of chaining possession with kick mark style. So it's happening in a couple of different ways, but transition is the name of the game this weekend. Let's see what teams can capitalise on it.
Well, thank you, Gemma. She looks at numbers for fun, doesn't she, Gemma Bastiani? If we head to the last game of the round, we mentioned it is the Suns taking on the Dogs in Mackay. Sarah, the Dogs, they've been playing on the edge recently, haven't they?
They really have. I think they've found the magic to the key to their success, which is to play really aggressive footy. The problem is they are dancing awfully close to the line. There were two cases that caught the eye of the MRO on the weekend. Isabel Pritchard lucky to get away with just a fine for that elbow back on Maddie Press-Parkis, and Elaine Grigg also got pinged for shoving Maggie McLaughlin into the fence. That was a fine only under other misconduct. Gab, it's a real fine line between playing with aggression and intent and being a little bit silly and maybe punishing your team the other way.
It is. Look, I don't mind it, to be honest. I think that the physicality, like, you sort of look forward to playing those teams and you're like, oh, is anything going to happen? That sort of thing. So you absolutely have to be careful about it. You don't want to give away a 50. You don't want to get yourself rubbed out for a week. But yeah, I don't mind watching the Dogs sort of teeter on this edge at the moment.
I don't mind it as well, if I'm honest. Well, look, that's us for another week. Gab, it's been awesome having you. Thanks for coming along.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, looking forward to enjoying the second round of Pride Week this weekend.
Sarah, great work as always.
Great debut from both of you. It was wonderful to sit on the couch with you.
Oh, look, it's so good to be here. And for everyone who wants to get along to this weekend of footy, please do so. So many great matchups. Link on your screen there if you want to get tickets. That's us for the W Show. We'll see you next week.